We're so excited about Love and Death, already being called the next Big Little Lies. No pressure, but it's a pretty compelling story. So tell us about sinking your teeth into true crime and why this story is still so fascinating 40 years later.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that there's some timeless elements to it in terms of, I think sometimes we have an idea that small community, small town, we all go to church together, certain values, nothing like that could happen here. And of course it can. And I think that there's, a good reason to take a look at that. It's to remind us that, open conversation, open dialogue, the ability to not have certain feelings or desires repressed. If everything is out in the open, we can all deal with it, and it's better that way.
Self needs attending to. Yes, sir.
Yeah, people got to tell each other what's really going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So you three have pivotal roles outside of the core love triangle of Candy, Alan, and Betty. So Krysten and Patrick, you two have a crucial scene together where some bombshell information is exchanged. And I need to know, especially with Krysten, if you would have make the same choices that Sherry does.
100%. The exact same thing would go down. I actually loved that scene too. When I first got the scripts, I was, devouring them because they're so good. But I was really excited about that scene that we had together because it was so layered and it was so great to work opposite you. But then, yeah, absolutely, call the friend immediately.
Yeah.
But I also like that she was a good friend to both Pat and Candy in that moment. She was like, she messed up, but she's still a good person. She's made a mistake. She's still a good wife. She's still a good mother. Like, let's move forward from that. But then, of course, I call her up like,
it's girl code.
Fire's coming.
And, Pat is remarkably loyal under the circumstances as well throughout the whole series. So how did you tackle that?
Yeah, the question of his loyalty, I think, is in his first decision after he finds out. It's the first beat he takes to solve the problem is to be self-accountable. Mm-hmm. And he sort of looks at what he's contributed and what he's overlooked and then starts to work from there, which is actually pretty correct. Like, that's a pretty great response, and it's pretty rare, and it shows good character. Whatever else he overlooks, whatever other tools are absent from his toolbox that contribute to him, not noticing what's going on with Candy, not being able to engage with her and talk openly, like Tom said, he does have that piece, which is, I think, what lets him hang on the rest of the trial, is that loyalty and that sort of like, well, I brought my own mud to this thing, so I'm going to work on this. And, we know that down the line they end up separating, which is too bad, but in the context of the story. But for that time, he's like choosing to do that maybe as a way to make recompense or to try to improve their relationship,
Yeah, that's right. I don't know how specific I can get, but there's the first reaction he has where he says to her, "I'm sorry I failed you."
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people would not respond that way.
No. Yeah.
This is ultimately a story about the complexity of families and of marriages, right? Have any of your loved ones seen the show, or what do they think about it? I know you and Kaley are pretty busy at home right now, so I don't know if it hasn't come up yet.
We are, but no, we watched it. She loved it. She really loved it. She was very impressed. I thought it turned out excellent. You don't always know how these things are going to turn out. And I was really proud of this one.
I thought it was great too.
Yeah.
I was planning on only watching the first one and just maybe watching it when it came out with everybody else, but I got too into it and I watched all 7. Yeah, I thought the show was great. I thought everybody was so good in it. I thought the production value and the way it looks, it was just so, it was larger than life and really fun. Like, even though it's true crime and it's dark, I put all that together with the hair and the makeup and the wardrobe and the sets. It all was
There's
really
some
fun.
hair happening for you, for
There
sure.
is.
I love those jeans, by the way.
Yeah,
like,
why
some
not?
of the fashion is still coming back. I'm very into it.
Yeah.
So, Tom, not to get again into much of a spoiler territory, we have the first 3 episodes dropping on Thursday, and then fans are just going to have to wait once a week after that.
Yeah.
We end on a big cliffhanger with those first 3 episodes, but then we dive into a pretty heated courtroom drama. So tell us about portraying someone who's defending a person who's not just guilty but has committed this really heinous crime.
Well, did she commit a heinous crime? I mean, I guess I would argue that she didn't. No, I mean, look, I thought we can never know for sure because we can't ask Don, but I thought that I think a lot changed when he took Candy to see Dr. Faison in Houston. I think that especially we have to try and put ourselves back in 1980. We know a lot more now than we did then about mental health, and a lot of this is much more commonplace. But I think for a man like Don, who's sort of quintessential American Texan of my sort of father's generation, a kind of like good, tough guy in the old-fashioned sense, gets to see and hear what happens to Candy under hypnosis. I guarantee you he remembered that for the rest of his life. And when you see and hear that, and that starts to open up, I would imagine, a whole nother dimension in your brain whereby you go, whoa, like what is going on inside certain people that might be triggered at certain times? And like, I think it asked enough of a question in everyone's mind, about these things. At the time, I think PTSD was a diagnosis that was only given to veterans. And obviously a lot's changed in the 40 years since, but like, I truly believe, first, that Don plays to win, and he always did. Robert Yudishin is his law partner, and he told me they were coaching girls basketball. Robert's daughter was 12, Don's daughter was 8 at the time. And the height difference between a 12 and 8-year-old. And Don challenges Robert's team to play. And Robert's like, well, of course your team's going to lose. They're like half as tall as my girls. And he says, Tom, but I tell you, Don coached that game like his life depended on it.
Like it was a murder trial, maybe.
Well, and that's my guy.
Are you three true crime fans? Maybe more so now or less so now? I mean, how did this?
I watch all the stuff.
Yeah.
I watch all the stuff that comes out, and I especially like it when it has a little like something extra sprinkled on top, like this one does. So it's a little like elevated and has a little skew on it. Yeah, I watch all the same shows.
Yeah, I'm not too into it. Kaley loves a good Dateline, though. She loves a good Dateline.
Yeah. It's all happening so often. I don't know that I know people that this sort of stuff has happened to, and that it's happening somewhere in your area, most likely. So, it's not something that I gravitate to. Right now, I gravitate to things that are kind of based on folklore and broad concepts, like classic hero stories, like The Northman. It's like my favorite movie right now. So that's like an old Norse saga story. That's kind of what I get drawn towards. It's that sort of grand feels like an oral retelling of an old story kind of a thing.
We love a good Lord of the Rings around here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A little out of the true crime space.
Not what you were asking, but just in case you were wondering.
I just watched a great rock documentary that I love. It's called Meet Me in the Bathroom.
Go Meet Me in the Bathroom?
Yes, it's about the like early aughts, like the Strokes, Kings of Leon, the
nice.
White Stripes in New York. I was at most of the parties.
Right.
But
Badass.
We will take that tip.
Yeah.
Thank you on that note. Thanks so much for taking the time. Love and Death starting on Thursday, April 27th, HBO Max. Thank you so much for taking the time, and we will be watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.